You're listening to Rock-N-Sexxy UnCensored, bringing you the cutting edge of the entertainment world weekly, hosted by Lynn.
Woohoo! All right, everybody. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Rock-N-Sexxy UnCensored. We are broadcasting on United Broadcast Network at ubngo.com, Channel 1. And we are live streaming on our blog weekly at Rock-N-Sexxxy.uncensored.com. So check it out. I'm your host, Lynn, and it is my great pleasure to be in the house with you guys tonight. RNSU works overtime to bring you the cutting-edge talents from the music and entertainment worlds weekly. And folks, tonight is absolutely no exception. First, we want to wish everyone an amazing holiday. Whatever or however you celebrate, may it be blessed with happiness and you be surrounded by love. Joining us live in the studio tonight, he's had an ongoing collaboration as the guitar player for pop queen Madonna ever since 2000, which came as the result of being hired as her guitar teacher. Of all the luck on that one. He even played the 2012 Super Bowl with her and has toured extensively with her on not 5 but 7 world tours to date. And then he had a stint with metal behemoth Prong. He's played guitar on several of their albums on their 2007 release, Power of the Damager. He wrote 5 of the 13 songs on that album. Well, in between all of this, he has cultivated an ongoing successful solo career, releasing 6 albums to date and accompanying Sebastian Bach on his live U.S. or world tour in 2018. And then I lost track of him. He was so busy. Well, guess what, guys? In June of 2021, industrial metal pioneers Ministry's Al Jorgensen announced its newest member. And here he is in the house joining us live tonight. The man, the myth, the legend, Bonnie Pittman's here.
Hello.
Hey.
It's good to see you again. It's
good
been a while.
to see you. I know.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me back.
The last time I saw you, it's amazing. And you look great for being like this busy and all this stuff.
Thanks.
Right?
Well, it's I never get to rest. So that's why, because I'm always busy. Last time I saw you, we were getting ready to go on tour, that Sebastian Bach tour.
You were getting ready to leave on the Sebastian Bach tour, and you were playing a live gig at Metal Sinaz. Is that what the name of her studio?
Oh, I think I saw you after that. Yeah,
Okay.
but that was the other last time I saw you.
And that was the other time, right? Because Monty's been on the show a few times because
Right.
he's got such a career and so much going on in so many different places that there's always something to talk about, right?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Okay, so we had you the last time you did the gig at Metal Sinaz, and I went to your live show, and that was awesome. And that was when we were focusing on your solo stuff.
Right, yeah, that
right?
was fun.
Okay, so first of all, congrats on the new gig with Ministry.
Thank you.
So how did that come to pass? And what's going on with that? Is it a tour gig? Are you collaborating on their music, contributing to them and their new stuff? Or what's going on?
Yeah, well, it's both. Well, I've been friends with Al for several years through our connection with Prong. Because I played with Prong, and then Al produced the Power of the Damager album that you mentioned.
Yes.
And that's how I first met Al. And then Tommy Victor from Prong was playing guitar with Ministry. And then that led to me playing with Ministry. But then I was only there briefly. This is about 7 or 8 years ago. And then I came back when he needed someone again. So it's a little bit of both. We toured this past year.
Okay.
We did a tour in the spring with Corrosion of Conformity and the Melvins opening. That was a lot of fun.
So this is a gig. This is an ongoing gig now.
Oh,
now
yeah,
you're
this is-
actually on tour with Ministry, and now
Right.
Sid Kieran has left the band for now, or is
Yeah.
and
And so, you know, we're right
and
now we're
Lonnie
working.
Pittman is in.
Now we're working on new music and
Congratulations!
trying
that's
to figure
a good
out,
gig. That's a hard act to follow too.
trying to
He is-
figure out what we're
yeah.
going to do this next year for shows.
Okay.
So.
What about albums? What about
We're working on that now. Just like every day trying to outdo ourselves.
and how's it going?
Anytime you're making a new album, you're really happy with it.
Right.
You know, every time someone comes out with a new album or they're working on something, they say, "Oh, you really have to hear this. Oh, this is going to be the best thing." So, but we're really, really happy with it, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So
Are
that's
you
really
feeling-
all I can.
You're feeling at home.
I don't want to
gig
jinx
now?
it. I feel so at home. Me and Al get
You're
along.
not going to jinx it. Yeah. Now, and by the way, because Ministry stuff is, I mean, it's heavy,
Right.
right?
But it didn't start that way. If you go back 40 years ago, like when the band first started, it was more kind of like
They started in
pop.
what was it, 1981, and of course I was around then. So
Yeah, it was around that.
this
yeah.
this is my era. So yes, multi-platinum selling artist Ministry is an industrial metal band. As if you don't already know this. It was founded in 1981 by Al Jorgensen, who we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
They are 6-time Grammy nominated. 6-time Grammy nominated. That's what it says.
Cool.
Some of their songs. Surgical Meth Machine. Don't tell that to my grandma. Just One Fix and Search and Destroy, but any of their songs are excellent. But they have evolved through the years into some really heavy, dark
Now
stuff.
it's kind of having a full circle moment, because when we toured in March and April, it's called the Industrial Strength Tour, and at first it was the 30th anniversary of the album "The Mind Is a Terrible Thing to Taste," and so we did. It's almost like it's not a greatest hit set, but that's kind of the set
people
list.
say that is the greatest song they ever did.
And it's sort of my approach. What I wanted to do is bring back the original element of each album and make it sound like that from my addition to put in there. So it is heavy, but it's not as.
Well, your stuff is heavy.
It's a little more rounded
excuse
out
me.
than it seems. But just
breaking up the place.
just from me getting to work with Al, it's like I'm going to college. Like I'm learning so much.
I was going to say
from
that.
him.
How is that, like melding in with him? Because he's a big personality himself. I mean, this guy is larger than life.
We have a lot of fun. I mean, that's the best way to put it. Is like this whole group, like you showed our picture, it's the most fun I've ever had on tour. You feel like when you were a teenager, or for me, I started playing guitar when I was 13, and I had a band, with my friends when we were teenagers. It's what it feels like. It's like I haven't had that feeling since then. Like we're like hanging out together, having fun together, and making music, and somebody will throw out an idea, and then you try that, so that gives somebody else an idea, and you're just constantly
So they're
trying
open
out
to the
to do yourself.
collaboration with you. You're being brought in on it. It's not like a lot of times when a band will have to replace one of their members. They get somebody who can play the gig, and they kind of insert them, but they don't give them the card,
Oh,
they don't,
right.
They don't give them free reign to collaborate, write songs together, and stuff like that.
Yeah, everybody has been involved, and the other guitar player, Cesar Soto, like I love how we work together. Like maybe he'll bring in a song, and he's played, since he brought in the song that he wrote, like the majority of the riffs, and I'll just do things that kind of like accent what he's doing. And then if I bring in a song, he'll do the same thing for me. So we work together really well.
So you guys are doing a live tour right now. Do you have any tour dates that you want to share that are upcoming in the new year? Or
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, I mean, I don't know of any.
You don't know of any? And what about like albums or anything? Are you guys working on some new?
Yeah, I don't have any dates.
Don't want to give.
No, I
up
just don't know.
anything. Sworn to secrecy,
Well, the
you
album
never
has
know.
to be done first.
Right.
So, and who knows when that would be? That's not anything like, oh, okay, we're about to finish an album. We could make an album, and then someone bring in something that go, oh, I like that song, and then that could spur a whole new group of songs.
Yep, absolutely. We have a little piece that we'd like to play for our fans out there of Monty on a gig with Ministry, so we can get a little taste of what this looks like. And this is at the House
it's one
of
of our
Blues?
this is the House of Blues in Anaheim.
In Anaheim,
the
my
House of Blues one, yeah.
hometown. Okay, well, I would know this place. Just one fix. There he is, Monty Pittman. He's with Ministry, and wow, you're kicking ass on that stage.
It's fun watching that back. I could play with that band every night.
Yeah, that's
so
some fun.
much fun.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is they're crowd pleasers and their audience is there for them. They may have been around since the 80s, but they have longevity. They're so legendary, you know, in the metal game that, you know, they've got all that history. You know, so they can play all that old stuff coming forward.
Yeah, there's so much material. And just the people. Like, that's the first time I think I've played with a band where there wasn't one disagreement.
Really?
Like, I think we may have argued, me and
But
Paul.
that's the fun part. You know, I remember when you were on tour the last time. Okay, so you were out on tour. Let's go back for a second.
All right.
You were on tour. You were with Eli.
Yeah.
And
Eli Santana and John Deddy.
Okay, and they were both on my show. They came with Monty on the show, and it was great. They're great guys.
They are.
Just really great guys. And they all took off on tour together, and it was all about Monty's solo gig and just taking off. And you guys were in like a motorhome or something. Did you rented like a motorhome or something to drive around country and do all this stuff?
I call it the death machine because we almost died several times in it. I mean, it was not a safe vehicle, but you know, we had to leave and go on tour. But we had a great time also.
And I remember you had problems like
every day,
like taking off from LA. There was like you weren't even sure if the tour was going to happen.
Yeah, and if
right?
you had to, if you took your foot off the gas pedal, it would just die. And so you had to keep your foot on the gas the whole time and keep your foot on the brake. So it's almost like the way you think about driving was backwards. It was more like the resistance. Instead of pushing down on the gas.
And then you guys had like
go.
beds in the back, and one would sleep, and then the other one would drive to the gig, and they were driving like across country their gigs, and you know that's the kind of stuff I remember just being on the road and touring when I was dancing on the road. You know that is like life. You know, being on the road, being on tour, just the whole thing. You know, suffering and getting to the gig and doing a great show and then climbing back into your pajamas and being like, you know, you can't even eat till the next gig or whatever.
Right.
You're struggling. The struggle is real, but that's part of being in the game.
There is something about it. It makes you play differently on stage. There's something about all of that. You know, one thing about
was it worth it? Was it worth it that
absolutely.
tour? Because I remember the struggle.
Oh, it
we
was.
We talked about it several times.
Yeah, there's
we
a lot
were
of
trying to support you guys on the road, and
that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Is making that happen to keep going. Like I can't believe that.
And that was the first time you went out as Monty Pittman.
Yeah, that's the first time I actually did my own tour. After that, I did a tour with. Do you know who Tony McAlpine is? He's a guitar player.
Yes.
I went out and opened for him. And then I went back to my other main gig after that.
And you were out. That was after the Sebastian Bach thing.
Right. Now,
I'm surprised there was no drama.
No,
with Sebastian. I remember back in the day when Sebastian was on the road with Aerosmith, and they were opening for Aerosmith on their Pump tour. That's when I met Sebastian Bach. I was dancing at the O'Farrell Theater, and all of a sudden, there's a knock on my dressing room door. We're getting ready to go on stage for Packed House, and all of a sudden, it's like, who is it? My assistant goes, who's at the door? And they go, it's Sebastian Bach and Steven Tyler. And I'm like, that's not bullshit. And they go, no, really, they're here to see your show. And I'm like, bullshit. And they're like, no, it's us. Blah, blah. And I go, oh, shit, maybe it is. So we open the door, and fucking there they were. And this one, I've seen him do some crazy shit on stage. So I'm surprised there was no drama.
You know, back then, I mean, that's what, you know, what else do you expect, I guess. Now it'll be me and John and Eli knocking on your door.
That's
like, hey,
right. Oh, God, I'll have to go back to the O'Farrell. The O'Farrell's closed down now. Yeah, they don't even exist anymore. But, yeah, I'd have to reopen a whole new gig just to have you guys come knock at my door. Are you kidding?
Maybe that's what's going to happen.
How are the guys doing?
Yeah, Eli started singing for this band called Ignite, and they have been blowing up. It is really good.
Wow.
I'm so like
Shout out Eli.
Eli was playing bass for me because I needed a bass player, but Eli is an incredible guitar player.
Right.
And a great singer.
We talked
Everything
about
he does.
that on the air.
Everything.
Too.
He's one of those. He's great at everything he does. And then he just started. I don't know what exactly the story is, but he started singing for this band. But they've been doing like great. Like they're touring a lot, getting great reviews. John has been. Me and John are getting ready to do another album soon. We're doing my next album soon.
Okay.
But he's been doing this thing that's been taking off also, where he's doing a drum cover of like a Metallica song, a Slayer song, an Anthrax song, and a Megadeth song, and like playing to it and putting it on YouTube.
And he's a badass
And
drummer.
John
Teddy is a badass.
He played drums for Slayer,
Yeah.
Testament, and Anthrax.
Right.
So it's the only person that can say that.
And just two of the nicest guys, you know.
Yeah, they are.
Just the nicest guys. And I just remember they were like, we're here to make Monty's gig go. And
Yes.
they're just friending it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like friending it. And let's show up for our bro. And I just really loved that whole feeling that you guys had going off on that tour. So
Yeah,
I'm really, really
very
glad.
lucky to have them.
Right? And you haven't done a tour since then, right?
No. Well, after that, I did that Tony McAlpine tour.
Okay.
And then-
But for Monty Pittman.
Yeah. Well, oh, right. No, that was for Tony. I opened up for Tony.
Okay.
Also, after.
You with Monty Pittman. Okay. Well, let's go back to your beginnings.
Okay.
Your first band, Insanity.
Yes.
And then it turned into, who was it with Chris Johnson?
Chris Sheehan is
Chris
his name.
Sheehan. How did I not get that one right? Because of Billy.
He's gonna cry
Right?
when he hears
Yeah,
that you
Chris
got his name
Sheehan.
wrong.
Sorry, Chris. I don't know where. I think Chris Johnson was a porn star. Maybe that's why I got it mixed up. Anyway, my apologies to you, Chris Sheehan. And you guys turned it into My Remains.
Yeah. We were 14, and then we changed the name and changed a couple of members. Couldn't do it anymore. You know, sometimes when you're starting a band, people don't necessarily want to do it for
So this is
live.
your very first band,
Yeah.
Young Monty.
Yeah.
Right. And he's
Oh,
like,
I
I'm going to grow up to be a rock star. I wish we would have had a picture of
There
you.
was a video of my first gig ever online. I should have given that to you.
Oh, that
but I
would have been
didn't.
cool.
I didn't think about that. Well, that's not something I would say. Oh, thanks for having me on the show. Here's me at 13.
Well,
Now I'm going to give you. I've done a lot in that time,
right.
but just talking about Insanity
But so
or My
you-
Remains on your show is like I got to like pinch myself because that's just a
So
crazy
you
thing for
wanted
me.
to be a rock star. You wanted
Yes.
to be a musician, even when
Since
you
I was
were
3.
young. Since
since
you
I
were
was
3
3.
years old. And this is your dream since you were 3.
Yeah, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do.
I remember my great nephew, Noah Paul, and he wanted to be a rock star, and he was 6 years old. He was 5. And for his 6th birthday, I think I talked to you about it. Went down
yeah.
to the Guitar Center, and I bought him an electric guitar, and it was bigger than he was. And here I go rolling in with this big old electric. My family's going, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I said, "He wants to be a rock star. Give him the music. Give him the instrument. Let him go. This is a big deal. This is like a turning point in their life. When they're young like that, you have to support them." And they think they don't even know what they're talking about because they're just little babies. And they
Right.
do. They do. We really do know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can't think of anything else I ever wanted to do.
So what happened with My Remains?
Well, I moved here. So
So you were from Texas.
yeah,
And you gave it up.
And we were in a small town in East Texas. This is not like, Dallas was the closest city, but I'm not really from Dallas. We'd have to drive to go there. And I came out here to visit my cousin. And then when I was first time coming to Los Angeles, I said, "Oh, I'm moving here." Like
I'm going to LA.
just the weather alone, because growing up in East Texas, like allergies, and I felt like when I first came here, I could breathe for the first time.
Well, they have those big giant bugs that fly.
that too. Yeah, I don't mess around with that. I don't
Summer
mess around
had
with
one. I had a gig there once. And
So I
one of
came
them-
here, and then it just didn't, it didn't. That was it.
You just came
was
in.
it
Were
for the
you in
band.
Hollywood? You went into Hollywood, and you said, "Oh my God, this is because and especially back then, in those years, all musicians came from Hollywood and the Valley. You know, this is music city.
Yeah. Yeah, I started playing in Prong like within the first month, I think, of moving here.
Really?
Because I met Tommy Victor through a mutual friend, and
so you were actually in Prong before the
Yeah,
whole
that was actually
Madonna story. Okay, because
that was actually the first thing.
Wow. Okay, so as I know the story and it goes, and it's a great story. It really is. If you're a struggling musician, you're just starting out and you think you're never going to make it, or you're like losing faith, you got to hear Monty Pittman. So you go in and get a job at Guitar Center, right?
Right, because that way I figured I could meet the most musicians there.
Right.
You have to have a job. You have to work.
Right.
So if I work, before I moved to Los Angeles, I worked as a guitar teacher, which I still do, and I was a bikini salesman. So between those two things,
you sold bikinis.
Yeah,
Did you wear them?
it is a nightmare. It is a nightmare because hanging them back up and putting them on the hanger and making them presentable is not for me. But I thought that was a really good idea for a job.
A bikini salesman? Because you thought you'd meet hot chicks and you'd have to put bikinis on hot chicks.
Right, but then you get annoyed with how they just take the bikinis after they turn on and just throw them. Like they don't. It's like they throw them hard into the corner. So
and then of course you have to be a good
then
liar.
You gotta.
Because
then you gotta
like, do I look
put
fat
them back
in this?
Yeah.
Does my butt look good?
So maybe maybe I could have.
Bitch.
I could have got a job doing that when I moved out here, but I started working at the Guitar Center, and so then that's how I met Tommy Victor. Started playing in Prong, and then I quit because people used to. I hated my job. I was not good at selling guitars or playing the corporate game. I'm not good at that. Like you would sell someone a guitar, and then someone would say, "Oh, I helped that person a month ago, so I'm getting half of your sale." So then I would never make any money. So it's like people would just take they would take the money that you would make. And people used to always come in looking for guitar teachers. And so I decided I'm just going to quit and I'm going to start teaching guitar lessons.
But we're jumping over a whole big part
Well, no, that's all
of your story, because tell us about Madonna.
Okay, well,
everybody always wants to hear about Madonna. I mean, talk about clickbait. This chick is like, since she set foot in the industry, she has just always been surrounded by media, paparazzi, and the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I started teaching. So my third student was...
So you didn't meet Madonna. You actually met her husband, didn't you?
Well, her boyfriend at the time.
At the time.
And his assistant got guitar lessons for him, and I was teaching him. Oh. So I started going to... So now I've just quit the music store.
Okay. And that's Guy Ritchie. That's Guy Ritchie, the cute blonde guy.
Right. And this is before...
She's actually got a son with him, too, right?
Right, yeah. Who's an amazing artist.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. And so this is right before Snatch came out. So like a lot of people didn't know who he was.
Okay.
Yeah, Guy. They didn't know who that was. And so I'm going to the house 3 times a week giving him guitar lessons. And I had just quit Guitar Center. And if that didn't work out with teaching, I was just going to go back to Texas. But then I started teaching him. I became friends with Madonna because I was teaching her boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
And then that led to me teaching her how to play guitar.
She didn't already know?
She did a long time ago.
Okay. But she wasn't a guitar player.
She knew a few things, like some chords.
But she was a singer and a dancer and an entertainer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I figured maybe she would take a lesson from me and that was going to be it.
And that'd be cool.
And there was a different dynamic because we became friends first. I didn't meet her during her first lesson. Like I met her from, I was teaching her boyfriend. And then we had music in common. And also working at Guitar Center, that's sort of like...
And you're playing with Prong at this time. So you're
I would go back
in this
and
heavy type of music. And then in comes in,
Yeah, for the 2000s, I would go back and forth between...
Like a virgin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How can you forget it?
That's it.
Right.
I would go back and forth between Prong and Madonna until it became a point where, like, I didn't get kicked out of Prong. I didn't quit. It just was like, look, we got to get somebody else in there because we can't hold Prong back because I'm going to go do this. And so then that just led to getting somebody else.
Didn't you play like the Jay Leno show or the Tonight Show with her first? Wasn't there like a first gig where she needed you to play, and so that was kind
David
of what
Letterman.
Dave. Okay, so
Yeah,
you
and
played.
that was a month after her first lesson.
Okay.
So when you go back and see that, like I go back and see that that is a moment, or the moment when my life changed from that
Which
moment
was, hey,
on.
Monty, can you do me a favor, because I don't have somebody to play guitar with me, and I'm going to take my teacher. And
Well, she was saying that she's like, I'm going to go on Letterman. You want to come play guitar with me? I'm like, yeah, sure. She said it like it was a joke, like she was just joking around. I'm like, oh, sure. And then at the end of our lesson, she said, okay, my manager will call you and set up travel and set it all up.
and that
And
whole
I was
thing
like-
changed for you then.
I was like, wait, this is in a few days?
And she's
So-
done so much for you. You guys
She
have done
has.
so
She's
much
changed my
together.
life. Mm-hmm.
You guys have collaborated on so much. I mean, 7 world tours.
Yeah.
Well, that's loyalty.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah, she's like that. I mean, she's very, very loyal, very, I say motherly.
Well, she's
Like, takes
unbelievably
care of everybody.
talented, because if anybody else would have been selling that shit like a virgin, it wouldn't have sold like it did. It's Madonna. She's always been this just mass media machine from the day she set foot back in New York. You
Yeah,
know? Yeah. And I remember just dancing at like Goldfingers and stuff, and it used to be Palad's, and it used to be, they were all that guy Jelly Bean Benitez, or somebody who was her manager from way back when came into the club, and we met him and all that. And it just has always been on fire. It was on from the minute.
I can't imagine what those days were like, because it's so different now.
You're 10 years down, right? You're younger.
I was-
He's a little baby.
You know, I was. Somebody asked me. They said, "Is that you that played guitar on Material Girl?" I said, "You better watch your mouth."
Right?
What are you saying? I was like 5 years old.
Well, I told you, remember we were talking about it on the show once, and I said, Monty, with your talent, with your metal stuff that you do, why don't you do like a reincarnation of one of her most famous songs with her and do like a metal version? Because everybody's like, oh, well, and she's done so many different styles of music and evolved and evolved and evolved, but you've never seen Madonna do metal. Wouldn't that be awesome? Madonna. That's all that's left.
There was something when I was doing an interview, like a video interview for Guitar World, the magazine, and I was doing a playthrough video. It was when my 4th album came out, and I'm doing all this stuff, showing how to play this song on the new album. And at the end, when we were done, they said, "Hey, if we just played a Madonna song, can you just jam over it?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." That's the thing that came out. They didn't even release my song. It was La Isla Bonita, and it's just off the fly. I'm just playing like, okay, I gotta leave, and we gotta go to do the next interview, and then that's what's out.
But when you guys play together, and I've seen some of your gigs together, you and her together have a musical rapport.
Yeah,
with
there is
each
this
other.
chemistry that we have.
There is a musical chemistry between the two of you that really, really works. So
I know, like, she can be on the other side of the arena, and she could hold out a note, and just the way she breathes, the way she sings that last note, my hands
well, she's fucking Madonna.
just at the same time. It's like it's almost like you have to.
She's always had that since, like I said, since coming into those gigs.
Mm-hmm.
She went up and then just got bigger.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many musicians come in and nothing for, any of the newer, newer pop stars that
Right.
are out there today. And I don't even want to go into names, but, I see them as all like an incarnation of the original artists that created.
How could you not be influenced by it?
Right. Well, it's just like saying what you're influenced by. If you were influenced by,
Led Zeppelin and Metallica, and
how
absolutely.
can we not be influenced
Right.
by? But to honor them by saying I am influenced by them, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, wow, this is awesome. Where's your solo career now, bud?
Getting ready to, I mean, I've been working on it for a while. I mean, I'm always working on the next album when I finish the album that I'm working on. But
So you haven't set it up on a shelf at this point. Are you going back and forth with Madonna and Ministry?
I mean, I hope not.
What?
I don't know of anything happening where that would happen. But
You don't?
because I don't have any dates for anybody of what
Oh,
anybody's-
okay. You
what-
said I
what
hope not, because you'd have, if you had to make a choice, boy,
Right.
because you have a lot of history and longevity and friend.
Yeah, I don't even,
connect
that
on both of
stresses
those
me
go-
out just thinking that.
Right.
But,
You'd be like, Marty,
but
I need you.
And you can't worry about those things. You can't worry about those things. So yeah, so for doing another album, just taking my time on it until it's right. I mean, I already have 6. It's not like I'm going to put out another album and that changes everything. But then again, you never know.
Are you thinking on new music now?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Me and John are gonna start recording drums. I don't know if he's watching or not. He might be watching, and I have to work with him.
To let him have this.
I have to
now.
work with him
Guess what, John?
psychologically.
We're putting your ass to work.
If I were to say, okay, we're recording drums on this, he's gonna think about it so much that it'll take 10 years. But
are they playing with you on this clip? We got a clip coming up.
Which one is it?
We've got a clip coming up right
Oh,
now.
yes.
This is Monty Pittman
Yeah,
live.
that's with John Deddy and Eli Santana and Charles Lindsay also on guitar. This was in Dallas.
Take a look. Monster live, and that's the tour we're talking about, where he is in the motorhome.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and you guys are driving all over the country, and you're getting out, and you're still being able to pull off a gig like that.
Yeah, I think we're working off some aggression or something from that motorhome.
No, it looks excellent. I'm so happy to see that. That's amazing.
It's weird for me watching it back because I haven't really done anything about my own music in the last 2 or 3 years. It's kind of like I've written, but I don't get serious into it until it's time to like really make the album, because once I get my head into it, I can't leave.
You can't leave and go off and play.
Meaning I can't leave, take my mind off of it. I just get so meticulous. It's almost like a curse.
How hard is that for you to compartmentalize a gig where you are doing Monty Pittman, which is hardcore, and Ministry and Madonna? If you do have to float back and forth between those gigs, I mean, that has got to take some real focus.
I see them all as very more similar than you might think, because like for Ministry and Madonna, I just think of, and Prong, I just think of it as like dance music. And then for Madonna, she has every style.
Right.
There's going to be something that's like pop, something rock.
You ever fucked up and started playing like a virgin in the middle of a Ministry?
No.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love that.
If you ever come to a show, I'll do that.
Right, just do that, right? I would love that. I would be like, yes!
Yeah,
yes,
so
do it. Al would be like rolling his eyes.
So they're not too different, really. Or maybe it's just the way that I look at it. There's only 12 notes, so it's just what you put into those notes when you play it.
Hey guys, we're just putting it out here right now. If anybody's out there and you're listening to the show and you would like to call in and join the show, or you got something to say or add, or just say hi to me and Monty Pittman, we're here on the show tonight. The call-in number is 323
524
2599. 2599 is going to come up right on the screen in just a second there, because Tony, our engineer, is going to take care of that. But you're welcome to call. That's right. So what are you doing over the holidays?
Well, I finally relaunched my merch store that I've been working on, and that has been doing really well. And actually,
your merch store is available at montypittman.com, right there in the bottom, right under his name. You see that where it says montypittman.com.
On any of the social media, hopefully I'm not hard to find. Just type in Monty Pittman anywhere and you'll find me.
That's right, because there's not a lot of Monty Pittmans. It's not like, there's...
Not that are me.
Right.
One.
Not that are you.
And so in the link tree, like in the bio of everything on Instagram and wherever, you can find all that. But yeah, montypittman.com, and you can find my store. I got shirts, which I brought you.
Oh my God! Awesome!
Shirt.
He did. I love it.
I like what you're wearing better, but to have an alternate.
Well, I'm going to have to do some scissoring to this thing first. Cut it up, maybe a little bit.
I thought you meant something else.
And
I also,
look at this,
so what
guys,
I did,
and it's pink. It's awesome. Check it out. And you know what? Guess what? This is a really nice girls' t-shirt.
Oh, it was.
I won't even cut the sleeves off of this because of it.
Yeah, you don't even want to cut that.
These are nice tees. Sometimes tour tees are kind of funky, and I have to scissor them to make them wearable. But this one is really nice.
I would not do that to you.
Cotton is awesome.
And for each, so I have shirts, hoodies, and I have all of my CDs, and I have those signed. And for each purchase, you get 3 free guitar picks. And
you do?
I brought you what I've been giving everybody.
Oh my God, check it out.
So
and
those are guitar picks all through the years. You've got Madonna 2004 to
Look
the
at
most
this,
recent.
whole collection of guitar picks. And
Prong,
by the way,
Ministry.
and are these ones you've played with, or just ones that you have?
I've played with some of those.
Prong,
but they're the
Ministry.
same ones. I don't know.
And these are collectible. And I
Oh, yeah.
remember when we were at the whiskey for the 69th whiskey.
That's where we first met.
We first met,
right.
and it was at, what's it called? The name
The
of
Jam Night, Ultimate Jam Night.
Ultimate Jam Night number 69, and Monty was on stage playing. I was doing the hosting. I was hosting the show, and turn around, and we were giving away a vagina. I was giving away vagina on stage. No. I was giving away a vagina guitar.
That's right.
And Monty was like, hey, well, just put your fingers like this. So he stepped forward, and I turned around, and I go, what? He's giving me a guitar lesson right on stage in front of everybody, and we gave away people went nuts.
Yeah. And I still do guitar lessons also.
Right.
That's like my main job.
Well, that's what I wanted to open it to. And just like that, I was like, Smoke on the Water, which I learned when I was just a kid. I think everybody learned Smoke on the Water their first gig. And that was it, right there on stage. And it wasn't about a thing. And that's how easy it is to do guitar lessons with Monty. And so, believe me, look where it can go. Look where it can lead.
Yeah, if you simplify your thinking, it's not as difficult as people make it. I had one of my students today was telling me that they said, hey, I want to refer a friend to you because their friend was taking guitar lessons from someone, and they said they're always yelling and saying that they're not any good. I'm like, oh my God, that's like the worst thing you could do.
Well, you do have to have a lot of patience because it can be frustrating in the beginning with your fingers and all of that, especially when you got nails like I do, these big old claws. But by the way, I can actually play guitar with my nails if you know how to do it. And if you have somebody that makes you feel comfortable, the quicker you're going to learn, right?
Yeah, it's all about having fun.
Right.
But I teach online over, FaceTime and Skype and Zoom. And
are you going to be doing guitar lessons over the holidays?
Yep.
Okay,
so
cool.
if you got a guitar for the as a gift, then you want to learn.
You want to learn how to do it, or you want to get a guitar, so you want to learn something. He's in town.
Yeah,
and you do it over Zoom.
Well, I do
so
it.
Worldwide.
I go to people, and but mainly it's online. So I still teach when I'm on tour. So,
you do, in between gigs.
Yeah, the last Madonna tour, like we were in Paris, and like we'd get out of the show and everybody was going to go out. And I say, no, I got to teach because.
You miss going out in Paris over a guitar lesson? Oh my God, that shows focus.
Yeah, and also I have a Patreon account that has video lessons on there, and they're all quick. None of them.
How do your fans go to the Patreon?
Just Patreon Monty Pittman.
Okay. Patreon Monty Pittman.
Yeah.
If you want to get guitar lessons, or if you're into any of the merch that we're talking about here, t-shirts, guitar picks, hoodies. Hoodies are cool.
Yeah.
These make great gifts for the holidays. It's a great way to show support, guys. It is at montypittman.com. And also, the other thing about this is that if you want to know future, can they follow you? Is there a way to follow you on your... Okay. So you follow him, you'll get all of his links and all your stuff, right?
Yeah, anywhere you are on social media, I'm there. So...
There he is. Oh my God. Guess what, guys? I can't believe where our time went. That's all the time we have for tonight's Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored podcast. A very special note of gratitude for our friend Monty Pittman. Give him a hand for coming in live for us during the busy holiday week and sitting in, wishing all our fans in the entire world a very, very Merry Christmas. If you want to know more about sponsorship or advertising, hit us up at rockandSexxyuncensored.com or drop me an email at amberlynnmedia@gmail.com. See you guys next week. Have an awesome holiday.
Thank you for tuning in to Amber Lynn's Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored. Available on rockandSexxyuncensored.com. Don't forget to hit us up on all your favorite social media links and tune in next week for another amazing episode of Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored.